Hello, Tesla family. Peace and love to all of you. Trying to make the world a better, greener place. You're watching The Tesla Life, live with your host, Mr. Mark Coughlin.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tesla Life number 405. Here we are on the 2nd of April, 2025, and of course, we do have some extra noise happening in the background because Mr. Casey Green is got a new addition to the family, and
Nice.
There is a lot going on in the Green.
You're not really born until you're on the Tesla Life show.
That's right. She was there sleeping last time.
Oh my goodness! and Moto is quite excited. Absolutely, absolutely. How are you today, Mr. Green? Besides having little or no sleep lately.
Other than that, pretty darn good.
Nice.
Good. Yeah. That's good. That's good.
What's going on?
Very good. Very good. Also with us, as per usual, Mr. Patrick Connor joins us from the West Coast. How are you today, sir?
I am good. So we just made a little road trip, and I've been talking about how awesome FSD's been lately. I found one spot where it doesn't do so well, and it was a little startling. So we're on the freeway. I decided to put it in FSD mode. And all of a sudden in this, I think it was 55 mile an hour zone, it shoots up to like 75. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Hit the brake or tap the brake. Obviously I don't want to, and turn off FSD. And what the hell was that? And so I make sure that the speed is set reasonably, and I do it again. And this time it moves to the left, and it doesn't change lanes. It's like trying to lane split or something. I don't know what it was doing. And I was like, okay, forget this. It's just not working right now. And why could it be that it's not working? So I glance over, I'm driving. So at the visualization, and there's something behind us, like right on our butts, that's just appearing, disappearing. And then it's a car one moment, and there's a shadow the next moment, and then it's gone. And so it thought something was trying to ram us from behind. And I'm like, oh, what could that be? So it was trying to do some evasive maneuvers or something. Well, we had the bike rack on. And we had a bike on there. And in the past, FSD did not have a problem with that. But this time it sure did. So for the rest of that drive, I did not use FSD. But yeah, that was a bit of an experience.
So on that topic, Sean from the Tesla Family Channel just made a video on that today. He had the same experience, although his wasn't dodging. It was just like accelerating, stopping, but probably for the same reason he thought it was getting rammed. So what he did for now is he puts a black piece of electrical tape over the rear center camera, and it ignores it. It behaves like normal. I suggested, and he's going to try, if you could also help try putting it in the accessory towing mode. Not the blue one, because that turns off all your stuff, but the yellow one, because that's made for bike racks and accessory hitches and stuff that have auxiliary brake lights on them, like a Rascal scooter or a cargo box. And I'm curious if they were smart enough to account for that.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't even think to put it into tow mode because I wasn't actually towing something.
Right. Blue tow mode would turn off your stuff, but yellow tow mode, I'm wondering, since it doesn't disable anything, if it would have fixed the behavior. Because then at least it should expect something following you super close behind.
Yeah, next time we're in this situation, I will give yellow tow mode a try. Cool. Yeah, if you've tried it, and put the answer in the chat, because that would be really helpful.
Exactly. Now, I was expecting Patrick to say that he was being followed by a pesky hawk or something.
Right.
Just flying down and buzzing the back of his vehicle.
Or someone in the window or something.
It would have been a Canadian goose, Mark. Come on. We have a lot of them around here.
So speaking of FSD mode, did I tell you guys about my bug fix update? 12.8.4, no, not 12.8.4, whatever it is that 8.4 broke.
Go ahead.
All right, so we just got 8.6, something that 8.6, 2025. But previously we had 8.4, and 8.4 made it so that my car wouldn't do any of the automation. It wouldn't cruise control, FSD, none of that.
Oh, wow.
Turns out, I said, all right, let's reset the DAS. That didn't do it. Let's check to make sure that the DAS A and B are talking, and they were pinging perfectly. So then I reinstalled the software, and the car still wouldn't drive. The whole time it was showing me all of
Casey just wins Dad of the Year for this scene right here. This is perfect.
It was showing me all of the vehicles around us, and the VRUs, bicycles, pedestrians, dogs, Canadian Goose, all that, and but it just wouldn't drive, and it wasn't showing the road surface, and it wasn't showing stoplights. So finally, before deciding that, all right, let's go ahead and put in a ticket and risk them telling me, oh, you need to drive 4 hours in a direction to get to a service center, I said, well, let's just go ahead and redo the calibration on the cameras, because while they do calibrate themselves continuously, the only 2 times this car had the calibration done was when it was new and when they put in the hardware 3. And so I figured that maybe, possibly, that data was corrupt. And it was. So I hit reset, took this one on a little drive down a country road, and by the time I got to the country road, it was like 85%. So then I took it down an industrial road, which is 2 lanes in each direction, dashed, all that. And then it got to like 98%. So then after that, I pulled into some random security company's parking lot because they were closed, or they looked closed. And when I parked nose in, something I never do, looked at the screen, still said 98%. So I reversed back into the spot directly behind me, which is something I do all the time, and still said 98%. I put it in park, boom, complete. So turned everything back on. All the I should say, at the first stoplight at the end of that long country road, it was enough for the forward cameras to be active. So I turned on auto steer, the what do they call the one for the green light where you got to confirm every time, and turned all that mess on. And then at the security company, when I put it in park, I turned on FSD, set all my settings back the way they belong, and put it back in drive, and then did a single pull because we don't have the option for double pull anymore. Single pull, and it went around the building and got out instead of just left out of the parking lot and got out, but whatever. But it was working, so that was cool. And then we got 8.6, and I'm betting that would have made it so that I didn't have to do all that mess.
Yeah, you were early on the update, and I'm sure somebody else discovered that, and they had to send a fix out right away.
Yeah, because I was about to submit to them like, hey, this sucks. You screwed up my camera calibration or something, but it's just I didn't want to wait. And I didn't want to take a drive 4 hours with no automation. It's pain. We paid for it years ago, and we've come to love it. So.
Well, let's get started with the story. And of course, the big story of the day is that Tesla did announce their sales for Q1 of 2025. And apparently, the amount that was quoted was they delivered 336,681 vehicles, which is basically a 13% year-over-year decline from Q1 of last year. And this figure comes in below the Wall Street expectations that they had. But again, analysts always seem to have higher expectations of whatever. But it's certainly as an issue to have a 13% drop in year-over-year sales. But I did notice that the stock did not take a dive. In fact, it went up a few points, which, again, stock market is a topsy-turvy world as far as I can see. Go ahead, Casey.
Good luck predicting which way it's going to go tomorrow.
I suspect that is because of the rumors that Musk is leaving his
more than rumors.
Oily run machine.
Yes. Yeah, he said he's leaving Doge, and Trump has confirmed he's leaving Doge.
Oh, more than rumors. Okay, so, you're saying.
Yeah.
Been a little out of Twitter.
Yeah, the funny thing is, I think Musk said that last week sometime, and then Trump said it recently, and that's what caught the news was when he said it. So, and you know me, I've talked about how I love Elon the technologist and hate Elon the politician. So I'm excited to hear that new city's getting out of Doge.
Yeah.
Get out of Doge.
Well, I mean,
It's just like getting out of Dodge.
Concept, but the implementation has been like maximum chaos. He's always talking about transparency, but like then you get anybody who's skilled at these things, and the numbers don't ever line up, and it's like, if you're not gonna do it right, why even bother?
Yeah, so it's so you're thinking that was the bound stock price as opposed to Q1 sales figures that were released today.
Yeah, how bad were they compared to other Q1s? I heard worse than 3 years.
Worse than 3 years. Yeah, and I'm curious. Brian's in the chat. I wonder what his Q1 prediction was. Just because we know that they had to switch over from the old Model Y to Highland, and that's their most popular vehicle. So you have any downtime on that line, and it's going to have a huge impact. I mean, they could do 3 or 4 Model X refreshes in a quarter, and it wouldn't matter much, right?
Well, I mean, what was it? 2 years they didn't have an SRX brand new,
right? Yeah, they could.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So if you impact the Model Y, it's going to show up in the quarter, and it sure did. And so you said marked down 13% year over year.
Yeah.
That sounds reasonable to me. Oh yeah, so look, Brian, he was off by less than 10K. So if you actually have an analyst who knows what they're talking about, does the research, and doesn't just assume, it's going to be 50% higher than last year, and of course they didn't make it. That's just dumb, and unfortunately that's how most of them play the game. It's like, okay, what can I do? Work, or should I reschedule my golf game? No, golf wins, and I'll just throw out whatever in a spreadsheet and be done with it. Because hard work is hard, and I get paid either way. So what do I care? I don't even own the stock because I'm not allowed to. So I mean,
like we used to call the weathermen of back in the day.
What'd you call them?
They were able to just put stuff out there and be wrong, and nobody said anything. Whereas now, they got science and computers and stuff, so they better be writing more often. Or get replaced by a computer.
Yeah, the easiest way to predict the weather is just say it'll be the same as yesterday, and most of the time you'll be right. And it takes little effort. Yeah, so yes. I don't think it's as horrible as everybody thinks, and I think that's one reason the stock's not getting hammered horribly.
And you're right. If you're going to be shutting down all your factories that are making your not most all at once, but if you're shutting them down in a cascading way that makes your most popular vehicle, then yeah, it's going to be affected in the sales numbers because you can't produce as many as you were used to with the older model that was just churning out regularly.
Yeah, just a money printer.
Yeah,
it's still number one in the world, even though it was 4 years old.
Number one in China for Q1.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and
it's
they're certainly, well, again, China is amazing when it comes to producing vehicles at the Tesla factory in Shanghai. It just seems that they've led the way with everything since being built in a timely fashion, like a year to build the plant, the initial lines, and to the amount that they pump out of that factory, and to transitioning to the new Model 3 and the new Model Y. China certainly leads the way when it comes to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So who has the lowest of the three of us for our annual guesstimate? Do you have that? I'm just curious.
That is you, Patrick.
Oh, maybe I'm going to win. Maybe.
So Brian said that driving manually is for the birds. It's worse than that, though, because you have to manually control your speed, too, because you don't get cruise control if they're freaking out about the cameras.
Yeah. So that drive that I was just talking about, it's, I don't know, like a 2-hour drive. And at the end of it, I was exhausted. And I'm like, I've done this drive a bunch, but I'm usually using FSD. And I don't have this feeling like, oh, my God, I just pull over and at a rest stop or get some caffeine. So yeah, it's a lot more work.
Just cognitive load.
Yeah, exactly.
Another note on the reporting of sales is that Tesla Energy reported that they sold 10.4 gigawatt hours of energy storage products that were actually deployed. This is still down slightly from Q4 2024 when 11 gigawatts were deployed. But of course, it's more than double it was last year in Q1, which was only 4.05 megawatt hours deployed. So actually, I think the megawatts is a typo in the article.
Should be megawatt
it should
hours.
be gigawatt hours as well.
Or,
yeah.
It's
So,
whatever unit, it should be in watt hours. But the tricky thing about that is the projects are so huge, quarters are going to be lumpy. So even if it was, I mean, the example you gave there, it's down from Q4 but up from Q1 last year, doesn't mean a whole lot, right? Because things could easily slide into Q2 so you really have to take a bigger view on the storage projects.
I did see an interview with a few of the Tesla energy partners for home installs of Powerwall, etc., and Powerwall and solar roof, and they were saying that the brand damage had started to take effect in Tesla Energy. They are still leading because they're the most comprehensive turnkey solution out there, but they are kind of pricier, and there are systems that are slightly larger, slightly less capable for similar price or for enough of a price difference that these folks that are trying to make a statement, or at least not have a blazing white T on the side of their house, they stated that as the reason why they were looking for alternatives. And for most of them, they said that Franklin was their most popular option for an alternative to Powerwall, as far as having the inverter, the solar, and the battery all in one. Whereas if they had other goals, they would go for other solutions that you can mix and match as an installer.
I could see that being an issue for residential.
Yeah, residential. They specify only residential. Because commercial, nothing exactly. Over the megapacks.
Exactly. Yeah, commercial. They're going to buy what fits their needs best, and that's it. I mean, best bang for the buck.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
they're not going to go to second best unless the guy's out there directly making them lepers for touching it, and it wasn't quite that bad.
Right, unless they have some business deal with somebody, a partnership with BYD, for example, then
that would do it
theirs. But short of that, there's no way they're going to. Oh, I don't like what Musk is doing politically, so I won't buy the best thing for my, regional market. That's ridiculous. It'll never happen.
Rather than taking a 50-cent cut in cost per mile, we'll only take a 12-cent cut in cost per mile because we don't like what he says, and he's a chaotic element. No, they're going to save as much money as they can.
Yeah. Especially
exactly.
when it comes to institutions. I could definitely see that.
Yep.
Next, let's go on to looks like Android's getting a little love because
finally.
Of course when Tesla deploys something through their app, typically iPhone gets it first, especially new inventive features such as the ability for them to the dash cam viewer, for example, that you can check out what's going on through your phone that's connected to your car. So Android users did not get this out of the gate, and an update just happened recently where if you have an Android app, you may want to update it because now you've got the dash cam view that can come through the phone. So many people, Brian from Futuraza has been waiting for this, and that's certainly a plus, having the ability to check out what's around your car at any point that you have access to your phone. So whether you're close to the car or not, it's a real game changer for peace of mind.
Mm-hmm. And this is very timely. Go ahead, Casey.
As long as you're not a legacy owner.
We can't let the saltiness go.
We just can't tell that.
If they give me a legit reason why this isn't happening, besides, you've spent lots of money, you can do it again, then I'll let it go. But they spent all that time saying that I have the same computer and same FSD system, modem, etc. as the Model 3, except that it's not water cooled. And then a 2017 Model 3 has got this feature, and a 2018 Model X does not.
Yeah, I see your point. Yep. This is especially timely to have since there are. I mean, okay, so I just went to a couple events in downtown Portland, had my Model Y parked in street parking, and every once in a while I was a little worried, and it turned out to be fine. The only thing that happened is it got some bird poop on the roof, but
Canada goose, I'm sure. Right?
I think these were Portland crows. I think you're okay this time, Mark. But I'll get you next time, I'm sure. And I don't have premium connectivity, so I could not check with my phone and look and see if people were messing around my car. And that's probably for the best because if they do, I'm not going to run out there and stop them, right? I'm just going to deal with it after the fact anyway. So there's no point.
Yeah, but if you're in a place with like a bicycle cop or a cop on a horse, you can both run over there before it's too late.
Oh yeah, I mean, I could call the cops or something, but whatever.
Well, if they're there, you don't got to wait on them.
Yeah, so it worked out fine. But anyway, just if this gives you a little extra peace of mind that you can check in your car, and often I'll pull up the app and just make sure that I locked it, right? And I usually hear the sound when I walk away, but not always, depending on how much ambient noise there is or whatever. And so just being able to do little things like that helps. And we have premium connectivity on the 3, but I usually drive the Y. So I was thinking maybe for a couple months I'll get premium connectivity just so I can do this. And then I was like, no, I don't want to just spend time looking at cameras in real time. I'll just, if something happens, it happens, and I'll deal with it after.
All right, so I just did the update, turned on Sentry mode, verified that it still pretends that I don't have the ability to do that physically or software-like, even though we got the same app, same modem, all that.
Yeah, so those out there with Android, let us know if you like the changes, if you have any questions, or if you have any comments on that update. Does it make your life easier? Do you check it, or would you check it once you have it on a regular basis? Or is it's just something that you may use occasionally, once in a while? Would love to hear from you.
If a couple of good scenarios for it. You hear something out near where you park the car at night, and you want to check it out, you can check inside the car, check outside the car, and see it. If you're using dog mode, you can check on the creature or human in there and see what's going on. And those are the folks and scenarios I'd see where you'd use it more frequently than it might suggest.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool that you have the option. I like all these features. It's just we talked about how they're improving the in-cabin detection, right? So this is just they're watching anyway with the camera, and if you got the latest version, they also have the ultrasonic, so better detection of creatures inside your car and making sure that they stay healthy and happy. So that's all good.
You know what that reminds me of? The old Volvo feature where on certain models and trims, it had the ultrasonic sensors all throughout the inside of the car, and it had heartbeat detection. So if your car was locked and you were approaching it, your key fob would glow yellow with the heartbeat. If you were not expecting there to be anybody in your car when you got to it, that would tell you should probably not continue to the car and should turn around and go somewhere else.
Doctor in your back seat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This could be similar to that, but since it's basically free.
Oh. Yeah, now I want the app to pulse with the heartbeat. This would be so cool.
Yeah. So that would be next to free. Whereas with the Volvo, they had to set up the wireless communication channel. They had to put the extra LED and the flash and logic in the key fob, and you had to look at the key fob before you got to the car. So if it was one of the ones that had the smart key, you were still getting mugged when you got in the car, unless it did like a vibration shake.
That's a very unique feature. I have not heard of that before.
Yeah, it wasn't very popular. I think they canceled it after 1 or 2 model years.
Well, let's move on to the next story. And this, of course, is a milestone reached by Giga Berlin. They got to the point where they've now produced 500,000 Model Ys. And you may say, well, what else have they produced? Well, they only produced the Model Y at Gigafactory Berlin. Therefore, that is their milestone. They don't produce any other cars at this time. There has been talk about them producing something else, but right now it's strictly the Model Y.
No, Mark, I've heard that Teslas are just not selling and this must be fake news. This is just not possible that they've made 500,000 of them in just a few years they've had that plant going.
Yes, I've heard that rumor too, Patrick. But as we know,
/S.
they're not storing cars still in parking lots across the U.S. because nothing is selling. That is also a rumor that was false. So, no, congratulations to Giga Berlin and its workers as they've reached that 500,000 mark, and now on to the million. So that will be something that will be look forward to and see if the time frame accelerates on producing 1 million over 500,000 currently.
On this plant, the theoretical max that they have on the earnings calls is what, 750 or 1 million and change?
Good question. I thought it was under 1 million. To be honest, I thought it was. I could be wrong, but I thought it was 700,000.
That's what I was thinking, like 750, and then they had adjusted it at some point.
You're talking
Patrick?
about per year?
Yeah, per year.
Yeah, I don't know. Said that they were able to expand capacity there, but I don't know what the current capacity is.
Yeah, they're definitely going to expand it, because look at what Fremont was doing, and then how many it does now versus each time they've expanded it.
Oh yeah, here we go. Okay. The update letter from fiscal year 2024 lists Giga Berlin's annual production capacity at over 375,000 vehicles.
Okay. So
less than 500,000.
That's weird. You'd expect that something that large would be up there with like Giga Texas or something.
It's funny you mentioned that, because Brian from Future Oza and I were having a conversation before a show, and he was saying, does that number just seem kind of small compared to what Giga Berlin is actually its size and its fanfare? And I was completely wrong on the 700,000, but
your number feels right? I mean, it seems like it should be bigger.
Yeah, it's not. I'm not sure if there's a reason for that besides the actual capacity of the plant.
See, if they built 1 million cars, they would push total for 3 times as much, and then that would piss off the people hiding in the trees.
There's always been this talk about Giga Berlin expanding and having to get regulations on their side so they could actually go ahead with the expansion. That's been going on, it seems, for years. Even the initial build, there was talk about expanding the plant almost immediately, and they were running into regulation problems as they were trying to do so, water management and of course
endangered ants,
bats flying around the paper forest, all these things. But it is interesting that 500,000 has been reached now.
Yeah, that is pretty cool, and it makes sense that their capacity isn't more than 500,000 if it's taken them 4 years to get to this point. They obviously had to ramp up and hire, and there was a whole lot of things that had to happen to get to this point. So it'll be cool to see them expand, and maybe make Model 3s or something else too.
Yeah, that's always been out there about the Model 3 being part of the mix at some point. It will be interesting to see if that does happen. I thought it would happen fairly quickly, and I've been wrong. So I thought there would be some sort of push to produce Model 3s in Europe for faster deployment of them. But to this point,
maybe there is, but
that
they
hasn't happened.
Otherwise more, because it's the best selling car in the world.
True.
So they expect huge volumes of Redwood, which we still haven't heard much about, but we hopefully will this summer. Okay. That would make sense that's going to be a high volume vehicle, and maybe even eclipse the Model Y, because it would be a cheaper vehicle. Yeah. So that'll be a likely candidate for expansion.
And if it's not a premium car versus, Model 3 is premium no matter how you look at it. Maybe if it's literally a budget car, that's what they're saving themselves for. I'm curious, the expansion on Berlin, it sounds like it's going to be kind of like Shanghai, where they just put up a duplicate building, kind of mirror it, and keep on rolling.
Yeah, which would, it obviously worked for Shanghai really well. Yeah, and of course Tesla is famous for taking lessons learned elsewhere and applying them to future builds. So I would not be surprised.
Yes. Congrats, Brian, for the Tolkien reference. I noticed.
Somebody used my code recently, and that was fun for the end of the quarter.
Very nice.
Cool.
Very nice.
Little email from actually first somebody else was asking me how to change the default payment card for supercharging and paying for service, and I was in there. I was like, "What? There's money in here," and apparently it didn't go to the like the part of the inbox where they're messaging me directly, or when they're trying to get me to buy another vehicle. It was just like in limbo. So I was searching at Tesla, and that came up. They said, congratulations, this coworker of yours bought the car. I was like, what?
Sweet.
So I said, congratulations, text, and said, awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah, thank them for using my code.
Now, speaking of the last story, Model Y, I did want to share this this quick little video that we've put on our Twitter feed. And this, of course, is a light show with the new Model Y. And I wanted to show you how they integrated the reflector, the light bar at the back of the car, because, of course, that hasn't been here before.
I like how the turn signal and brake light for when the tailgate is open don't bother turning off for this show.
Yeah.
A nice little outline.
Cool. Yeah, I like the way that comes through the crack there. That's neat.
Yeah. I wonder if they could do that regardless. Probably won't, because it saves a milliwatt and adds to your fuel economy.
And there's probably regulations about when that light should and shouldn't be on. That
well, it has to be on when the hatch is open.
But which means it probably has to be off when the hatch is closed.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, probably. That would make sense.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Oh, that is so cool. I love the fact that they can do this, and just that light is indirect, and the way the regulations are written, it's just how much output do you have to have, and it doesn't matter whether it's reflecting off something or not. So that allowed them to do something cool like this.
I kind of thought it would be cool if it was segmented, like that one leak we saw where it turns into on the Cybertruck, where it turns into the brake light, and otherwise it's a light bar, or just addressable. But that would cost.
Could they do the kit thing where it goes back and forth?
Yeah, Rivian
that would be cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. And it certainly is. Every time they add a new trick to the vehicles, they're quick to integrate that into the light show, because obviously it makes sense that they can have that. That could have, that just draws people to it. The more lights, the more spectacular. It just draws people like moths to flame. It's very cool, very cool.
And then speaking of lights, the global headlights have been activated. So you got the what do they call it? Where basically you're able to leave your high beams on all the time, and the pixels will adjust themselves.
Matrix headlights.
Matrix headlights. There we go. And so now you don't have to worry about turning off the headlights for dazzling people. And apparently they even are sensitive to the VRUs. So if you got a walker or bicyclists, it'll dip for them as well.
Vulnerable road users, VRUs.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's great. Hopefully you'll get a chance to spot one of these yourself as, of course, they start to roll out en masse, which they're doing it now in all the continents. And there'll be more of these Model Y with the new light bars coming to your area soon, I'm sure.
Brian says it's not possible to do the kit thing, but I think he underestimates the hacking skills of Tesla owners.
Yes, these are those lights required by law. You can replace them with segmented addressable.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, see? It just takes rebuilding your car, Brian. Nothing's impossible.
Yeah.
After I got FSD and enabled with the camera calibration, my third one ever in 7 years, I left the FSD in hurry mode, and we were taking Moto to the dentist, and it did something I hadn't seen it do yet. I've seen it pass on short order, and I've seen it squeeze itself into gaps in traffic that I would not bother with. But there was a 4 or 5 lane in one direction, and people weren't bothering to do at least the speed limit. And there was an on-ramp with double level lanes on the on-ramp. There was a truck, like a heavy truck that has been watching go slowly. And then there were the people who were just not driving the speed limit. And it passed on the right. It went, but not just passed on the right. It dipped in, beat the on-ramp, and then tucked itself into the tiniest of openings in front of the truck while still leaving the truck room to stop safely. I wouldn't have done it, but it was clever.
Yeah, I don't like the passing on the right thing. And mine's done that too. And yeah, I'll turn FSD off if it starts doing that kind of stuff. But you had it in hurry mode, so
I did have it in hurry mode, but it was amazing to me because it felt like I've seen not just BMWs, but felt like I've seen more regular people do in New York and California, Southern California.
Oh yeah, people definitely do it.
Yeah, I mean I'll pass on the right, but I don't even mind it slipping into the small spaces, but I've never done it from the left or from the right. I've only done it from the left, and I usually pick about 3x margins for what the car uses.
Right. Next, I want to talk a little bit about this story, which of course is another Tesla milestone, is that the wall charger, which many of us have, has reached its 5th consecutive satisfaction ranking, top satisfaction ranking in a survey performed by JD Power. The group that was surveyed, again, now in its 5th year, it surveys over 10,000 owners of vehicles between 2019 and 2025, both hybrid and completely electric. And it evaluates the homeowner's satisfaction across these 8 factors: reliability, ease of use, the charging speed, the retail price, the cost of actual charging, the cord length, which is sometimes completely overlooked, and the ease of cable storage on that particular charger. So again, I have one of these wall chargers. I've had one since I bought the vehicle. Do you two have your own wall charger, or are you using the mobile charger that comes with a car?
So I've got the Gen 2 wall charger, the one before our Canadian friends cut our cable by 2 feet, and the one before Tesla went to the gimpy onboard chargers at the 48 amps. So I've got a full 80 amp available to me. It takes up a full 100 amps of my 200 amps of service. And
yeah,
and
the breaker costs you about $1 bazillion.
The Model X only uses 90 amps of it because it doesn't have the dual chargers of the older car. And it was only a meter from the panel to the wall connector. So the guy used some scrap cable from installing generators so that it didn't cost me anything there.
Good.
Yeah.
Patrick, what do you have?
I have Tesla wall connectors that I got through the referral program. I ended up getting 2 of them with that. And so they're the Elon Musk signature edition version of them. But that was before they had all the smart Wi-Fi features and other things they have in them, which is fine because with the Tesla car, you can tell it when you want it to charge. And if you just plug it into any dumb wall connector, it'll handle all that intelligence on its own, which is really cool.
And if you have a power wall, it'll still talk to the car directly through the power wall and do the charge on solar and all that. So you don't need to downgrade your connector if your car can do it.
Yeah, luckily we have good net metering here in Oregon still, unlike California where NEMS 2 or whatever 3, I don't remember which one, screwed over California. Yeah, so I don't do charge on solar. If we so it discharges the battery in the morning, then it recharges the battery at noon, and then it feeds the grid until the evening, and then and overnight I run off the grid because that's when power is the cheapest.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's working out really well. And I don't mind feeding the grid during the day. That's when they need the power. So I could do charge on solar to avoid that. But the funny thing is our time of use just changed. They changed the program name from time of use to time of day. And they kept the industrial time of use. So, but the one point I want to make is that it used to be that I went on to more expensive power, midday power at 6 a.m. But now it's not until 7 a.m. But the battery still comes on at 6 a.m. But then it's like just because the AI takes time to figure things out. It's like, okay, it's still running off of the old schedule, even though it doesn't need to. But then it stops at about 6:30, and then it goes back to using the grid. And then at 7 a.m. when it needs to, it turns the battery back on. So I'm wondering how long this is going to last, because it's been since January, right? So it's had 4 months now. So it's not a big deal, but just why? Why haven't you figured it out yet?
And that's from the programs downloads from Tesla from the power company?
Yeah, so you can go in, and I've tweaked it a little bit because I changed some of the prices to discourage it from feeding the grid in any time other than peak. Yeah, it's I was able to look at my utility and say this time of day schedule, and it pre-populates all that stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's a glitch in there somewhere.
Yeah, and like I said, it's not that big of a deal because it gets charged during the day anyway. So if it runs a little bit early, who doesn't matter much.
Yeah.
Ghost in the machine. There you go.
Yeah, and I'm sure it'll figure it out eventually.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Well, I think we've got a wrap on this for this week. I think we're 41 minutes or so into the show.
Right.
Let's get into some shout outs. Casey and family, what do you got for us?
So on Friday, we've got the Tesla Life Express Edition 1 for the week. And then on Sunday, you've got Let's Chat with Casey and Friends. So you can come catch me over at youtube.com/Casey Green or x.com/gstem. And similar to this, but a little more expanded as far as like the stated topics. And then we've got a X Spaces that runs alongside of it, where folks can call in, first-time caller, long-time listener, etc. and we can chat on the show bi-directionally. That we don't have to, dress up and get on camera, and I don't have to worry about if you're wearing headphones or not. Because if you're not wearing headphones, you get the feedback. And it's like, so rather than having to get that ready ahead of time, we can just say, I just want to talk on this one topic. We talk on it, and then you continue on. Then coming up on Monday, we've got the Tesla Life Express Edition 2. And then on Wednesday, come join us here. Same time, same place, 7 Eastern on Wednesday, and we'll catch you live.
Very good. Patrick.
Yeah, so Brian mentioned it in the chat. If you haven't seen it, we have an OEVA meeting coming up on April 10th, and we are going to go talk to the folks at Ranger EVs. And if you don't know what they are, you can go to oeva.org, and on our events page, you can check it out. So they have a solution to try to encourage rental properties and places like Airbnbs to have charging. And part of the problem is that, okay, how much do you charge for that? Do you charge for it? Their solution is that they call it the Venmo of EV charging. And so, so check it out. It's we'll be there talking to them, and it's different when they're doing a sales pitch versus they're talking to a bunch of EV owners. I mean, we know this stuff in a lot of cases better than some of their employees, and especially the OEVA. There's a lot of retired engineers and folks who really know their stuff there. So check that out, oeva.org. And I blog occasionally at carswithcords.net. We just talked about an episode or an article on Monday that's been getting a lot of good reactions. I want to give a special shout out to our buddy Russell. He disagreed with a lot of my points and even made a couple accusations, but that's okay. It's engagement. Russell and I don't know if you guys, depending on how long you've been following us, we were all on What Drives Us Together, where Russell and I had some good arguments. And it's really interesting because we both agree on this renewable energy future, and but we have a lot of disagreements specifically around Tesla and Musk and whether or not they're advancing the cause or hurting the cause. So he's got some opinions there, and if you want to go in and tell Russell he's wrong or tell me I'm wrong, I'd like to hear it. I'd especially like to hear the first one, but I'll take the latter also. Please check that out. Thanks.
Very good. And we'd like to thank the engagement in the chat room. Derek, Digital Blade, Lee Moon, of course. Thanks for the music, Lee. JT24 Highlander, of course, Brian from Futuraza. If you haven't subscribed to his channel, please do. And HEC was with us today as well. And we certainly thank them for the engagement in the chat room. Please, whenever joining us, you can follow along in the chat and send us questions or comments. We love to see them as the show rolls along.
I would ask a question before, since we've got some time before the show's officially ending. Serious question: since all three of you are Tesla owners, would you buy a newer Tesla Model 3 or the Highland? I would personally, depending on how close in price they are and what my budget is, and if there's any reason for me to get a new one, like tax incentives or something, I would either get a new or used Highland. But if the price is right and it's got the right combo of color, package, whatever comes with it, I'd still be tempted to get the old Frog Eyes as well. How about you guys?
I think that after test driving the new Highland, I think I would go for that. And of course, my car's coming up on 7 years, so I think I'd be ready to move to the newer technology. It would be fun to do so, but again, I've got no problem with what I've got already, and I have no problem continuing with the regular Model 3. But again, I probably would take the Highland if I had a chance.
Yeah. So unless it was like a super good price, you would just go ahead with the new one.
Cool. Yeah. So you guys I was going to say last year, but it was 2023 when I was thinking about getting the new Model Y. I was worried that the refresh wasn't going to have the turn signal stock, and that was a must-have for me. But now that it has it, I kind of wish I would have waited. But oh well. It's I did wait long enough to get hardware 4, and so now any vehicle is going to have that. So yeah, I would not hesitate to get the new Model Y.
Cool.
Very good. If you haven't already, please give us a thumbs up on the video, press that subscribe button, and of course you can follow us throughout the week on our X feed at The Tesla Life. So we'll see you in between shows if you want to hear what's going on. And with that, we'll all get together next time and find out what's happening in the Tesla Life. Thanks, Lee.
Stay positive. Test negative.